And when it's all said and done, Marcy's putting all the things that ends up doing the exact same way. She's not reading downside, it goes the same size.
You have better view, especially when we called in that there was multiple options.
There's trees there, trees there.
So it's not like you have to this amazing water view?
It's on the number 1. There's a really nice lawn. We try to take care of it.
Okay, if we had Nalama.
Yeah, I looked at it. I don't know. And now she wants to scratch those corners all together. And so I gently let her know that you can drop as many house plants as you want. She's like, all right, the guy that did, it's going to be the final plan.
Right.
Because now you're throwing thousands of dollars out and starting over again. Okay. Let's not keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, maybe better if you have a nice house to be in while you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm in no hurry. We've actually had because we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. So how many square feet?
We're currently.
Oh, wow.
They said they had a jackass on that one.
Turn your camera on.
Another one here, still I'm checking it out. So if nothing happens.
I had another one that tracked down the road. See life like I was in.
Okay, because I've been driving it down.
So did you read this one? You should read that one.
The 17.
But I'll take care of that. If you look at the numbers, they're very.
That's okay. I just wanted to mark it.
But you should know that as a training officer.
Thank you.
That default has changed now, so there is no Colorado.
Not very much.
And the destination, we definitely weren't transporting to Colorado. No, I had no one. Those things, I'm just showing you.
Color your thumb.
I think we set that default now. It's always been. So the charge on that one is. So what you see us thinking is like that. Sure. All the options.
Might still be able to shine it.
I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, those kind of stuff. I like it.
It's gonna be a pretty short meeting.
Hey,
7.5 minutes, I'll bet.
did you ever get to the bottom of
Then we can get back on the phone.
from Amandeep?
Okay, then we can get back on the phone.
You ever seen the Kim?
If it's right at 10 o'clock during my union break, I'll just get up.
Crazy guy that was transported a couple times.
It's gonna be like a Kim jump speech.
It's
It's gonna be weird.
I'm not gonna lie, you look a lot like
He
him.
just gets thrown.
Until I get my new haircut.
He left me like 5 or 6 numbers.
One day where there was somebody out.
I called each number, a couple of them disconnected. And finally got a hold of someone and he was him. And all he started saying,
When you go straight up, it's like that.
and I'm like, okay. And so I tried to call him back a few times and I just called it good, so not too worried about it.
I guess B ship transported him the other day, but it looks like his house has been foreclosed on. So probably move away.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
At least 10% of the population is.
I think I attempted for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Good morning.
I think it depends on what day you catch him, because he's schizophrenic, so he doesn't even know what's going on half the time.
Yeah.
But when he's medicated, he's pretty.
Good morning to all of you remotely out there somewhere. We're doing our live feed through our YouTube channel on our extranet, so those folks out there can see us. They can hear us, but they can't speak. So if they have questions, you guys need to text them in to Jason or Henry or myself or somebody. So good morning, everyone. I'm glad you all made it here safely. I know we had a little bit of a slippery night last night for some of you. Glad there were no injuries. That's good. This will be our first quarterly meeting of this year with Jason in his new position. So welcome, Jason, in your new position. And I've got a few things to chat with you guys about today, and then we'll turn it over to operations and training facilities. And of course, like always, if you guys have questions, please jump in there and fire away. So a couple of things from me. I'm sure you guys have all heard what has been going on with the Board of Fire Commissioners here lately, at least the last couple of months. And they're reaching out to Fire District 7 to talk about potentially coming together as an RFA. Is everybody aware of that? If you're not aware of that?
Maybe lately, but no.
So they have expressed a desire to begin talks with Fire District 7, at least their board anyway, on the potential of coming together in an RFA type of a situation. So it's very, very early in its inception, and they're just talking. So the board, our board sent a formal letter to Fire District 7's board about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now. And Fire District 7 has replied saying that yes, down the road they would like to sit down and talk about that, but they are going to go for a bond this August on a special election. So right now they're not interested in really getting serious about it until after that's coming time. So that's what's going on with that. Any questions about that topic?
He had mentioned in the commissioner meeting, I think, about developing a committee to look at that. Is that like just a commissioner committee is looking at that, or is that involving labor or anybody else?
The way that I understand that is, for right now, it's just a commissioner type of a committee. When they start getting more serious, if they start getting more serious down the road, there will be a very formal RFA committee that will involve labor and the commissioners and the public and those types of things. So right now, they just wanted to get a few people together to start really early investigation type of a thing. I think that a lot of an RFA is quite different than a fire district in the way that it's formed and the way the taxes are collected. So there's a lot of feasibility studies that go behind that to make sure that the regional fire authority is the right thing to do for the citizens. But it's very preliminary. So right now I think they want to get a few of their commissioners together and at least start talking about it. Okay? Anything else? Really, this is your time to interject. I'm at the will of the fire board, and that's their desire right now. And so we just have to kind of let it see where it goes. I know we have a lot of questions around that, and quite honestly, those types of things can take years to bring together, and it's never done in a vacuum. The ultimate goal is what is the right thing to do for the citizens. It's not what's the right thing to do for us or for them. It's what's the right thing to do for the taxpayers. And before any of those decisions are made, there's a lot of time and effort spent on just feasibility of it. What does that look like organizationally? What does it look like financially? All of that stuff. So it takes a long time, but they've just said for right now that they want to explore that option.
Out of curiosity, Chief, what is their bond that they're carrying this fall? What's the purpose of it? Are they planning on expanding, or?
From what I understand, District 7 is a little on the slim side right now, as far as their funding goes. And they're asking for, I think, $3.5 million for a bond just for operational expenses.
I think their biggest challenge, if I can interject, was that the refineries all challenged their assessments.
Oh, that's
and they were cut by 50%. They won half in court. So they projected their 5-year plan was, this is our income from the refineries, and the refineries are obviously some of their biggest customers. Right. But then the court said, you're only having to pay 50% of that. So that changed their budget dramatically, and you're seeing the effect of that. Plus a safer grant came due. So that's what I hear from Dean. And that makes sense. Yeah. And so now they're having to try to recoup that money they're not getting from the refineries.
It's amazing how you can go along, and something drastically changes like that. And if you're not prepared, it makes it really tough, just to maintain staffing and just regular day-to-day bills. So that's why they're saying, you know, we don't wanna, you know, we don't wanna do anything drastic like that right now, we just need to get some additional funding to keep us going. Okay. All right, and then, the fire chief recruitment process, I thought I'd give you guys an update on that. According to the board for right now, it's just gonna be, me as the interim chief for a while. They haven't said that they're in any hurry to recruit for a new fire chief anytime soon, unless they come to a point where they make a decision that either they don't want me in this position anymore, or they wanna go a different way, whatever. That's just kind of where they are right now. So their goal is to make sure that, the daily things get taken care of, and that we continue to move on. And I think part of that was, that they weren't in any hurry to hire a permanent fire chief because they wanted to look at some options like District 7. So for right now, it's just status quo. I am meeting with Commissioner Mosman on a regular basis, let him know kind of how we're doing, and pick his brain a little bit on what his desires are. For right now, it's the way we're doing things, and the way it's going to be for them. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. We budgeted for 2019 a master plan consulting firm to come in and do a master plan for our fire district. Over the years, we've developed some things. You know, we have Henry put together. How old is that now? What'd you call it? It's the master plan that
Capital facilities plan?
Capital facilities.
Well, the district actually put that together.
So we have quite a few months ago, one of the commissioners said, hey, you know, we really still need to look at what we have out there for stations and apparatus and all that kind of thing. And a couple of years ago, when we did our WSRB, a lot of things were brought to light that, hey, you guys have a lot of aging apparatus and a lot of buildings that are empty and all that kind of stuff. It affects things. It affects, it's expensive to have all those things still being maintained and heated and everything every month, and our apparatus continue to get older and older. So last year we went to the board and we said, we'd really like to look at that. And there was a discussion at one of the meetings that, hey, let's sell a station. And at that time we're like, let's just, instead of just starting to sell stuff off, let's get somebody in here to tell us what we need to do. Make sure that our stations are in the right place, that we have adequate staffing, that we have the right apparatus, and actually make some good data-driven decisions. So we budgeted this year for that very thing, to pay a consulting firm to come in and do a master plan for our district. And that also has been kind of put on hold for right now, because I think, you know, their desire is to look at another fire district to consolidate with. However, my goal is to make sure that that is still fresh on their mind, that we still do need to do some things in-house we need to take care of. And so I'm going to continue to update them and let them know that, you know, we really feel like we still need to look at our own stuff right now and make sure we're doing the right thing for our operation. Ongoing process. Any questions on that part? We're finally settled out now as far as the administrative staff changes go. We've moved a few people around and reassigned a few people, and it's working very well. Of course, Jason, you know, being in operations now has helped us out tremendously. He's doing a great job. Thank you, Jason, for what you're doing. Kelly is doing also a stellar job over there. She's settled into her new office, and she's been busy every single day that she's moved over there just on HR stuff, looking at some of the promotional processes, and as you guys are all aware, you know, the sick leave stuff and vacation stuff. She's doing a great job. We really appreciate her doing what she's doing. And Jenny has a new office over there. She's moved closer to the fire chief's office because she's working hand in hand with the fire chiefs every day and just administrative support. And she's doing a wonderful job. Training, you guys are moved out to Building D now, and that looks really nice out there. I know that was a big chore. Henry did a great job logistically getting all that set up, and you guys too. So if you guys go out there at 12, make sure you visit Straight Vision out there. It'll be neat.
It's too far to walk.
It's cool.
From the station. We need to get a car.
We do.
I agree.
Just on the gate. That's what I did.
Gator with a plow on. Gator with a plow.
Any questions on the staff changes and moves and all that kind of stuff? And so the last little thing here, well, I've got a couple of last things. Did everybody see the email regarding Teledoc that we put out this week? So look for that April 1st. Should be a good little benefit for us, I think, to be able to use that service. Does everybody know what it is and what it's for and how it works and all that?
I don't know how it works, but I haven't looked into it, but I'm assuming it literally is you log in, you got passwords and user ID numbers, and then you can talk to a doc, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of cool, really, because I haven't used it personally, but I've been in the meetings that have it's been described. And essentially, what it is from home or from your mobile device, you can talk to a physician live, and you can video conference with them if you like, and actually show them, have you ever seen anything like this? The type of thing, and they have the ability to actually write some prescriptions that way. It's kind of limited, but there are some things they can do via video or phone conference. I think what we'll find is that for the more minor things like kids' cold and sniffles and minor abrasions and cuts and stuff, instead of going down to a walk-in clinic or an ER and all of that, you can actually get some answers and stuff taken care of at home. So I know, Sean, when we were part of the committee last year, that was a topic. And when we started looking into it, we just realized, it's very affordable. Let's just do it now and just give it to everybody. So I'm pretty excited to use it. My kids are grown and gone, but I still have, a kick and eat to use it once in a while. So I think it'll be good.
So, and would it just be charged like an office visit then, essentially?
No, you pay it's a fee.
We pay, the district will pay a user fee on behalf of the employees. So, yeah, there's no additional charge for anybody. It's already paid for.
That's pretty great.
So you can just get on and use it when you want to use it.
It comes to my mind because my daughter goes to school remotely, right? And she gets ear infections all the time, and it's a pain. But that doctor's noticing right on the list, describe your symptoms, talk to a doc, get medication for ear infection.
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty neat way to go.
I think it is, we all know what it's like to bring your kids into an ER or a walk-in clinic and how you're subjecting them to what everybody else has and that kind of thing. And plus you're driving and on the road. There's a way you can get some answers from home or from somewhere else. I think that would be beneficial.
They're actually using something very similar at Stafford for patients.
Oh, no kidding.
So instead of having the doctor they'd have to call in, possibly just chat on the phone with and wait for them to come to see patients or have them transferred via Cascade. They use a teledoc, and we've gone in there on patients, and they've been consulting with us and talking with us with the patient on the same system. So
They just dial 911 for that, though, right?
no, and then the doctor is the one that tells them or tells us, like, yeah, I think it's fine, you can transport BLS, which if it fits within your protocols. But we've actually had discussions with the doctor on their teledoc thing when we've been there visiting a patient. So it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
So I don't suppose you can do things like gallbladders and appendix where they say, okay, take a knife, run to your left. That's probably the other side of it, which you can't do on the show.
They don't have a Dutch.
They have it on YouTube.
They don't have a Dutch function on there.
You would take
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a nice benefit.
Can you walk through this?
And then the last thing I have, I just kind of wanted to give you, I guess, some thoughts from my office here as we move into 2019. We've got a lot going on. We really do. We've got a lot of promotional stuff and a lot of administrative things that we're doing, and it's all very exciting things, and it's all good stuff for the department. My goal in my position right now is just to make sure that people are doing good that they're getting what they need, and that we make sure that the support is getting out there for you guys. That's my goal. And I'm new in this position. It's only been a couple months now. I'm so used to having somebody to go to and say, hey, what do you think about this? I don't have that person anymore, and it's nice to have good teammates, that's for sure. And I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for everybody and that everybody's getting what they need. So that's my goal for 2019. If you guys need something and we're missing something, please let us know. We're all kind of doing these spots. So, you guys are doing a great job. Any questions with me? You guys have anything you want to ask me or talk to me about at this meeting? What you guys can see in 2019 that I can do for you or with you or anything? If you guys do have questions or want to come in, please just come in and chat with me and talk to me about stuff, and we'll do the best we can. You know, I'm going to turn it over to you, Jason.
I don't really have any okay, well, first of all, thank you guys for your patience as I kind of adjust from one position to another. It's definitely a steep learning curve, kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant, I guess, we're trying to. But we're trying to get some stuff done, and my goal is to support you guys so you can get out the door with confidence and do your thing with the public. So you're what it's all about. Everything else is just support, and so that's what I'm trying to do. Appreciate the hard work over the last month with the crappy weather, and I know the call volume has increased because of the weather. You guys handled it good. Nobody got hurt. A couple things, not in order of importance, because that's kind of how my brain's working right now. First thing is address verification. With the lines between Bellingham and us blurring a little bit, we've noticed that there are some things that are in both places. Most notably, Lake Washington Treatment Center has facilities inside the city, and also the one we're real familiar with. Make sure you verify the address before you go en route, or actually, make sure you verify it before you get there, because you don't want to get there and realize you're at the wrong one. And another one is Van Wyck and Van Dyke. Those are, when the wind's blowing and you're not near an MDC and you hear it on the radio, it sounds frighteningly familiar or similar. And if you ask to add an Everson unit to a Van Wyck call, prospect gets super confused. So just take the time to walk over, look at an MDC. I was at the wrong ones. Look at the address, especially, like I said, the one that we know of right now is Lake Washington Treatment Center, has a sub-facility inside what would be Station 4's first due area. And now our units are getting called to both. And so we really need to make sure that we're looking at the address, look at the cross streets before you go. I fall back to Captain D's. Take time to look at the map before you roll out the door. So I know we're all getting used to our phones and the computers, but paper sometimes is good. We did have just some river control. We did have an accident, a minor accident. Nobody was hurt. Resulted in damage to our aid car and to another person's motor vehicle. What happened after that was the driver, law enforcement was called. The company officer couldn't find the insurance card, so we called the insurance company, which is perfect. Put them on the phone with WSP, so that we got all that sorted out. Obviously make sure that nobody's hurt. This was a very minor accident. The driver was then taken for a drug and alcohol test, and to alleviate any rumors, it's in the CBA. It says that and I'm still in the union, guys, so when I say we, I mean we are still subject to those rules and regulations. Also, department policy says you're going to go for a drug test. The drug test is not because we think anything's wrong with you. that should have been identified by about 8:10 in the morning, right? And that's the goal. When an accident happens at 2 in the afternoon, we're pretty sure, and you've been on a 48, it's not because we think there's anything wrong with you. It's because as soon as that other person's insurance company sees you got hit by an agency, cha-ching, right? I mean, they just dialed all 7s on the thing. And yeah, they're gonna wanna know, was the guy drug or alcohol tested or gal? So it's for your protection. And then Chief and I made, in this case, we made the decision, and I think it's gonna be consistent. That's our goal, is consistency. That person went home, not because they did anything wrong. It didn't cost them sick leave. We sent them home on admin leave. You had something upsetting happen. If you guys have a kid call, a traumatic injury with a kid, and we always ask, command always asks, is everybody okay? If somebody says no, they're probably not gonna stay at work. It didn't cost that person any money. They went home on admin leave. It was paid admin leave. Someone came in and backfilled them. They were back to work before we got the results of the drug test. Once again, thereby kind of proving that we're not waiting for the drug test to come back. We're not thinking anything's wrong. It's just that needs to be done. So that's what we kind of expect of company officers, and that's how you can prepare your person if this ever happens to you. In this case, we're going to come out with some lessons learned. I hate to keep saying we're busy, but we're kind of busy with the promotional stuff right now. We're really going to try to, Captain Jorgensen and I, this is news to him, but we're going to try to come out with like a white paper or something, so there's some lessons learned for everybody on this thing. What can we do different? What can we do better? That kind of thing. But in the meantime, if this happens, if you get in an accident, that's what's going to happen. It's not because we think anything's wrong. Like I said, that should have been identified by about 10 after 8 in the morning. It's because we've got to protect ourselves. We're looked at as deep pockets. So,
did we find the insurance card?
That's on a list of pieces. That's on a post-it note. I'll check before I leave here.
Yeah. Because
You
every
could
vehicle-
delegate that to
every
Chief
vehicle has one.
Hollander.
Can't, actually. I just get an auto reply when I email him now. He's retiring in this many days. And this many days left to learn how to take care of this.
Well, just because I do know they're on every rig, and so I'm kind of shocked.
Actually, Lieutenant Nelson, you have one of your guys find the insurance card. SCBA's. So we had a process where we looked at a couple different kinds of SCBA's. The committee came up with a recommendation for Scott's. The chief has said, and that's what we're going to go for. Lieutenant Byrie and Wayne and Chief Captain Davidson and myself are going to be putting together a presentation for the commissioners, try to get them to buy SCBA's for a short period of time. We might have 2 different models of SCBA's, but it's not a problem. It's just we'll sort it out as we go. But Scott's were the winner, and that's what we're going to bid for, hopefully. Trading with Bellingham. This affects, yes, sir.
Just clarification to why we're going to have 2 different SCBA's in the system.
You will, but some stations will.
Are we going to have?
You're going to have 2 masks.
Everybody's going to have 2 masks.
Yep.
Regardless if he's going with Scott or MSA, the MSA G1s are not compatible with the M7s.
No, I get that.
Yeah, it'll be 2.
So we're still going to have MSA's in the system.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to replace
They're going to be sitting so far out of the world now.
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, no, that's fine. This is where so no rumors get started. Yes.
I've heard the rumor, and I just wanted to clarify
Yep.
that we're going to have 2 different.
There will be two different. Regardless, we're going to end up with 2 masks. So.
And are we still looking at keeping 3 SCBA's on tenders, or are we looking at just keeping 1 SCBA on tenders?
2 is what we allotted for in the count. So.
I think with the exception of
Tender 63 will have full complement of the new SCBA because you guys use it differently than the others. So. Trading with Bellingham. Crews or lieutenants from 69 and 12, we're encouraging you guys to reach out to your counterpart at Engine 6 or Engine 4, get together, do a walkthrough, identify some things you're nervous about, some target hazards in their area that you might be first due to now or second due. Get together, talk with them, walk around the building. We're working on Knox Keys. It's Bellingham. If you get frustrated with how slow we turn around, Bellingham's bigger. It takes a little while for them to turn around too. So we're working on Knox Keys. We've got some map books. We're working on all those things. But the biggest thing you guys can do right now is reach out to your counterpart at your opposite engine. Yes, sir.
Well, obviously that's a great idea. Is there any plan in training divisions getting something set up that's more consistent and you know the way things work when you're doing
yep.
lieutenant, everybody's gonna do something different, right? So it'd be nice to have something consistent, a consistent message, a consistent way of doing things. And you can't really do that when you put the onus on the officer.
I understand. And
I'd be happy to answer that.
sure, great.
So I did have a meeting with Bellingham to discuss future MCOs and get that training process going. Unfortunately, right now they're not going to put anything on the schedule just due to a lot of things that they're trying to accomplish as well. So the agreement was for right now. This might change in the future. Is to like the email I put out there is to reach out and basically try to get a hold of 4 or 6 and try to get some local stuff just kind of finalized first. Hopefully in the future we'll have some of those, but right now their plate is full and it's not in their spectrum. So it is on you guys to reach out and at least start the process.
And I think just it would behoove us in the meantime. I think it makes sense. I'll talk with the other lieutenants at 69 at pass along. We'll kind of get an idea of some consistency of what their concerns are, mine are, and then we'll talk with our counterpart. Maybe 12 can do the same. That way, in short of actually having a department-wide procedure, we can at least do station-specific stuff as multiple crews thinking about it as opposed to each individual shift crew.
Right. Yeah, it's new. The whole thing is new, and so as hollow as it sounds and as weak as it sounds, I don't think that some of these things were anticipated. As we just thought we kind of like flipping the switch and it just happened. It turns out it's not quite like that.
Yeah.
There was, but on the back end, guys know that there was a lot of planning and a lot of coordination that went into this. It's not as easy to put this together as maybe we think it is. I'm not trying to talk down. I'm just saying that that's what I've discovered in the past couple of weeks is trying to do this stuff is not as easy as just doing it. Everybody's got to take a look at it. Everybody's got their input, and it sounds hollow. I know, Kevin Arnold's, but it's what we've got. And we just gotta shoot, move, and communicate and figure it out.
So Jeff Hofstad has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. You're on speakerphone.
So my question is, or I'd like to relay to our admin, is I talked to the. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I contacted our Engine 4 captain last shift to do what you guys were asking about, get together with training, and I caught him off guard. He was completely unaware of it, and said that he would like to, and the other captains would like to have something come down from their admin about us doing this with them.
Okay.
So I just wanted somebody from you guys to maybe talk to their admin, just let them know that we're going to be doing this because they were completely off guard. He was a little reluctant to do it because he said that he had no direction from his department about doing it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Okay.
We'll make that happen.
Okay, Jeff. No, right.
can see just from that reaction right there, it's not as easy as just.
Well, I think it depends on who the captain is over there too. Because the captain that works at 4 when I'm at work, he and I get along very well, and there hasn't been any issues whatsoever. Right. Oh yes, I do. Have you noticed that?
But I don't know what that means. So I guess part of it, when I see things, and you guys go well, and I know Tony would go in as well, and that kind of stuff, but my thing is, it would seem like, having worked at that fire with Binding Street with those guys, that we would want to meet with the battalion, it would seem like versus a company officer. And what the expectations are from a battalion, from us being first or second in, so that we have an idea, you know, I mean, as far as, and vice versa. I know that DJ had an issue when one of the battalions came out there and we had a grass fire, and they wanted us to do all kinds of hose and all that kind of stuff, and they're like, well, that's not how we kind of do it here. So I guess kind of that, because basically it's the battalion that actually calls a play 90% of the time for BFD, because they're going to be there just like our battalion 7-6 does. I mean, we arrive first, but you know, for us to know what their expectation is for our second and third in engine, right, overall. Because anybody could be the captain that's working that day at 4 on an overtime or anything else that normally works at 1. And so, you know, on that particular day, I'm just saying, Kevin, that they go out and they don't know you from Adam, you know, kind of thing. But battalion, which is pretty a small portion of it, should at least.
And that's actually a really good point that I hadn't thought of. This initially was thought of, my initial thought was at a smaller level, like you know, the shag housing on Sunset. The guys don't know where to go in or which elevator to use, or you know, and they can figure it out. Of course, they always figure it out. That's what we do. Yeah. But it's just not as smooth of an operation. You know, where's the best place to park? Where's the best place to stick your APR? Where's the best place to do all these different things? Where's the manager's apartment? You know, who's the responsible person there for? So those were some of the things. But you're right. I agree. I had never thought of that. But what we need is
Responsible person at shag is offsite.
But see, you know what I'm talking about. All those, you know, there's all these apartments, and there's more going on about that I'll talk here in a second. But just down to the address type stuff. This building's complicated. We don't have anything like this. What do you do here? Or what are your expectations? What do you want us? And then, like I said, I wasn't talking like big fire response. It was the simple calls. You know, elevator rescue. You know, we get a lot of elevator rescues at this building. This is what we do. That kind of thing. So, but I agree, Kevin.
I mean, it was part of the issue was, like, for instance, when we were going to fire and Binding, we almost all arrived at the exact same time. And when Engine 4 turned up that street, and the ladder came past us, with BFD's ladder, I had Ross flip a U-turn and follow the ladder, because I don't know how much hose their ladder has. So I didn't know if I was going to support them as far as laying into their ladder or whatever else, instead of following Engine 1 inside of there. But I don't know what their operational procedure is. If I have a ladder, I know that we only have 600 feet of LDH on that thing, and if they have a 1,000-foot lay, which they don't in the city necessarily, but you know, it's just like, hey, I can support them, especially with my tank of water as well. But operationally, I just don't know what BFD does.
And it's similar thing, like when we were in the whole fire, like they don't expect, like their ladder operations are completely different. Like ladder 62 came down, and they don't expect us to take our own supply and have a pump on our ladder. They just don't. We're supposed to be assigned an engine. Their battalion chiefs don't know they're able to pump on that.
Yeah, we saw that at the Blue Sea Fire too. They were ready to pump us, and we're like, real quick.
And that's why I think battalion should know we're coming in, and they're setting us up on a corner. They're like, oh, these guys are self-sufficient. They'll do their own supply line, do that kind of stuff or whatever, and not an engine captain. You know what I mean? The guy from Engine 1 doesn't have any idea what ladder 63 has. But at least the battalions are smaller in number. They're easier to train.
Is that something that we should look at changing as far as a response tone or response label? I mean, I know it's labeled ladder 63, but should it be labeled quit 63?
You just need to train the battalions. Otherwise, you're going to be asking for 2 different resources. You want to keep them, all the ladders need to be the same resource. It's a training issue.
And it is. DJ, I talked to DJ about, you know, those guys in Bellingham, right? They're probably going to totally school us on high-rise standpipe attacks, right? Because they do it. But grass fires, their battalion units are swimming in deep water there too. I mean, they were asking DJ to fight the fire into the wind from the unburned. And they're like, no, we don't do that. And he goes, are you telling me you're not following an order? Like, yes, I'm actually telling you I'm not going to do that. We're not going to put guys in the direct line of the fire. We're going to come in from the backside. And so it's just it's a training issue. I totally agree. It's because there's stuff that tender ops that we're going to school them on that they're just not used to.
We're two different animals.
Yeah.
They're a city department that have hydrants every 300 feet. We're a rural fire district that has no water at all. You know, what we do is completely different. It really is. And so the training part of it between the two training divisions on MCOs and the finite things of what we do operationally is slow. And we apologize for that. And we can definitely reach out to their administration and training division and let them know some of the struggles we're having. It's like any other relationship. I think it's just going to take time, and I would encourage everybody to do that. Reach out to the counterparts there in Bellingham. Have them over for coffee. Have them over for dinner. Meet them halfway. You know, just start to get to know each other on a different level. You know, I think a lot of you guys know a lot of those folks.
We can go to Starbucks then.
So just get to know, and it's all about the relationship. And as you guys start to come together and sit down at the coffee table together and start talking about, well, how much hose do you guys have on your truck, and what do you guys do with that? It'll eventually come together, and then we'll start having more formalized trainings and MCOs and drills that, you know, these are our hose lay drills, and this is our high-rise stuff, and that will come. And it's unfortunate that all the training can't come on the front end before these agreements come into play. It's kind of the way it happened. But I encourage you guys just to start to get to know the folks on a different level. You know, sit down with them, invite them to dinner. You know, cook them burgers one night or whatever. Have them over and sit down and start chatting with them and get to know them, and go out to the rigs and open everything up and start to have that dialogue. It takes time, but we'll do our part to talk to the administration.
Which leads me to this bullet point I have just labeled auto aid. I went down and spent 3 hours at Prospect yesterday and started to learn about how the best word I have for it is overlays are done, so run cards and block files and all this other stuff. Some changes will be coming. VFD's identified some stuff, just like we have identified some stuff. We have another meeting next week to actually start really looking at how things are. I can't really speak to what I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can tell you that things are going to it looks like things are going to be shifted a little bit, which hopefully will take some of the load off with I think Station 12 is the big one we've identified that is kind of dealing with right now. So I can tell you that I have never sat and done that before, like looked at how actually the dispatch criteria and the run cards and all that stuff is done. It's super fascinating and pretty complex. So I just ask, I know it's hard, but if you just give me a little time, I promise there's some stuff. We're working on it. I'm working on it. Vacation payout overpayments. We have one meeting left with one individual. They're not avoiding us, it's just scheduling errors. Kelly and I are going out and meeting with people. I think we met with some of you. If your people have any questions, please don't rumor it. Please don't try to figure it out. Call Kelly. Kelly has done an amazing job with a ton of hours into this. She knows all this stuff. She's gone back way past what she was initially tasked with to find out how all this stuff works and make sure that it's all fair. And so if somebody's got a question, have them ask Kelly. Don't let them guess. If you hear somebody guessing or rumoring, please have them contact Kelly. Once Kelly's done with all the people that overpaid, she's gonna finish everybody else's. She's gonna actually audit everybody's, and then we'll open it up to anybody that wants to look at how their vacation accrual has been counted, why the back page of their time card has looked funny maybe in the past few years. She was willing to go down and sit down with anybody and go over that. So we're trying to use this transparency. We want everybody to understand exactly how all this stuff is calculated. And so, sorry, DJ's texting me. So that's about the overpayment. That's kind of what I have about the overpayments. The last thing I add is, as far as a tender group, add them early. If you think you're going to need them on a call, just call for the whole tender group. Most of those guys are using Pulse Point, so they're actually probably at the station by the time you call them. But they're ready to go. They want to work. They like doing what they do, and they'd rather get turned around than get called late. So please add them early. You see a header, just add them.
It takes a little longer for Dale to put his socks on these days.
Yeah. Dale's wife to put his socks on.
And the lift for getting me in and out of the truck is a little slower.
Have we reminded Ferndale and Everson that we have a tender group? Because I've heard them just ask for a specific tender every once in a while, instead of, again, they could do the same thing, and benefit themselves immensely as far as having, 3 or 4 tenders coming their way.
We talked about that in operations. We've offered that resource to them several times, and I just don't think they're I'll bring it up at the next office meeting, but that's a resource.
Just always friendly reminder.
District 7 has actually contacted, or we've had some preliminary discussions unofficially about adding 1 or 2 of their tenders to our tender groups. So we'd have even a more bigger, or having 2 tender groups.
Bellingham as well. Last shift we had that big grass fire out there off of Rural Avenue between the houses and the creek, and they were specifically calling out tender 12 and tender 69 when they could have just asked for the tender group. Training.
And those coffee shop meetings.
And I'll bring it up to the office meeting.
We are also on the tender group, with the permission of the guys, hope to get Mike out there, who is a very conscious driver. I'm a conscientious driver, extremely. We're going to start adding 63, if we can, to our training, so that truck will get in the loop. We don't want to take it away from you guys. That's not our plan. But we just want to throw it in, make sure that the dump in the rear is working, everything like that, and we'll have a guy that'll come and he'll bring it. We'll take it for training and bring it right back, make sure it's full of water and everything, but we'd like to put that thing into a loop if we could.
Good. All right. Then just some updates. What?
No argument here.
Updates. DJ just updated me that Bellingham trucks, the ladders, have no LDH.
No hose.
They're not truck.
Yeah, all pumping and hose apparently come off with their engines.
Yeah, so
that's why they're dedicated to a engine.
Yep.
When you go down.
And
so they're useless by themselves, right?
And then as far as like doing exchanges for meals or getting together, it has to be done in the city. Bellingham, their rigs cannot leave the city. Same thing. So yep. I covered a lot. I was kind of choppy. It's my first time doing this. Anybody have any questions? Or yes, sir.
Insurance packet is in the door of the 8-car.
Perfect.
And
So was there?
it consists of insurance card, vehicle registration, ambulance registration paper, accident report forms, and a VFIS packet.
Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure that I've talked to Paul McDagan about that. He's asked about, like, where is this vehicle? I can't get the insurance card into it. What are you guys going to do if I don't get the insurance card? So, I know
September.
He's had them all. And they were all.
Yeah. It's in that zipper pouch, whatever.
Is everybody pretty good about the firefighters out there carrying their driver's license with them when they're driving the fire engine? Are you guys pretty aware of that? It's a big thing. It really is. They have to have a valid driver's license when they drive a fire engine, because if they get a wreck, that's one of the first things that troops are gonna ask for. Make sure your people have a valid driver's license with them. Yeah.
Sometimes some of our guys are working outside the fields and stuff, sometimes they have it in their pickup or something like that. They don't carry their driver's license because they're afraid they're gonna lose a wallet or whatever. What is the deal on that, for us? Because we're at the spur of the moment and gone, you know, and it was always told to me that you have to, on that situation, you have to be able to supply that driver's license within so many hours of the incident.
So I'm not a police officer, I don't know
I
exactly how they
understand that.
think, but I can tell you that you're not exempt from being a licensed driver because you're
Right.
a fire apparatus.
Absolutely.
If they decide, and they look you up and they say, well, you do have a valid license, but you're not with you, and they decide to do something with that, I don't know. But we have to be able to produce a valid driver's license.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I got my little wreck a few years ago, they came up to me and they said, well, you know what I need from you? And that was the first thing I had to show them was a driver's license and an insurance card for the vehicle. So just make sure when your people are driving fire apparatus that they have a license. It's really, really important. And that it's valid. Hasn't been revoked. Yeah.
Just to kind of tail onto that, so one thing that we kind of learned at the EBIP refresher class is, since we are CDL exempt, moving to the future, we're also going to be required to carry basically a wallet card with some CDL exempt information on it. So as we progress into the future and do our courses and updates and all that stuff, you'll see those being issued to you. I realize that it's going to be a challenge to probably carry those around, but they do have to be on file when you're driving. So one thing that we're probably going to look into is putting it on the iPads or something like that. So it's visible and it's a state requirement. So yeah. So you'll be receiving those, but we'll also probably put them on the iPads or somewhere where you have easy access, just in case.
Let me see. So I'll find out, Dale, the sheriffs always come by our station to find out if we can't make a copy and keep them in your glove box of the apparatus or something, you know, so they have a black and white copy or something, but I'll talk to the cops and see.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
I mean, we're not trying to be above the law. It's just that way, sometimes the situation we're in, we're working at home or something, you just, you know, so.
Ask them if a photo on their cell phone.
Yeah.
You can take a picture of it.
They may not have a cell phone with it either.
Well, yeah, they almost always have.
Yeah,
So.
that's how
people don't lose.
Because
just glue your driver's license to your cell phone then, Dale.
Okay, we can do that.
So, I have a copy of my driver's license in my work wallet, and I keep that just because of crossing the border if we have a Point Roberts call. So, they accept that copy at the border, and I'm figuring if the feds accept it, then perhaps. But I know they're different.
The feds don't
rules.
work out of the 46 code, out of the driver's license code handbook. Feds don't care.
Right, but I'm wondering if we do check if we can have a copy of it, because that's what I keep.
That's what we
Because
do.
for the same reason that Dale's talking about, I'm afraid that either, you know, I've had things bent and cracked because I've kept them in my pocket, so I just have a laminated copy of my license. And if we can do that, then we can still produce that and produce the original later, but that at least has all the information
So
on
not
it.
to sell these Caleb wallets, but they actually have a convenient place for your fire department ID and a coin, so you never get coin checked either. and it fits right in the front of your pocket. These are sure.
They're very slick.
They
are slick.
They are slick.
This bathroom break brought to you.
By Blind Alley Leather.
By Blind Alley Leather.
Caleb? Yeah.
If you would mind, Catherine, just take the application.
Yeah, I'm good, and I'll send that to you.
Yeah. Ray, when people have take their pants off to put their underwear on, that's where some of the issues, because it's right, because they have the bed, and then they don't do it.
Okay.
In writing, as you guys have
See, I don't think-
remembers everything.
I know, but that's.
Let's take a break, come back, talk to
But see, I think it's that same thing, cops don't ask you to.
It is known come from Adam, if you don't know Adam.
Feds don't care about driver's license. When you leave the country, they don't care about your license.
No, but I
You know, Kevin's
have my driver's license.
Oh, I know that. That's what I'm saying.
And I realize that, but it's like they're accepting this copy as a way of saying, oh, I'm letting you back in the country because you have your driver's license.
No, I agree. You have to have some form of ID.
Right, so I'm just wondering if, as an officer of the law, if we produce that in its current and valid, it may not be the original, but.
Right, that's what they're all talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, but he should build those routines. This one's built in.
That's good.
But I like the idea of the self-posting too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, put it on your cell phone.
Well, I know that all the vendors, yeah, put on it.
But I mean, make a copy, put it in whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah, I think so.
We didn't set up anything in this room? For routine, for all the extra.
I think we may have to.
So what are we gonna use this room for? We'll get the talking and stuff out there. So we'll set up some tables.
Yeah, because that can be set up earlier. We can't.
Yeah, because I will be there.
Right, but that would be. Like, and then move to the back, move out, and then the apparatus, we can't bring up.
Said this conversation maybe.
We'll just get that up in here, and then
Move out there.
move out there, and I think that,
What do we do with the chairs? Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah, as soon as you said that, it's like, oh, yeah.
Two big brothers.
Well, the good news is, this is my last year all staff.
No shit.
No, you
The
ain't
next one,
gonna
the
retire.
next one will be judo.
You ain't gonna
The next
retire.
all group will be judo.
I'm starting to see the last.
The light at the end of the tunnel?
Every day gets.
Did anybody tell you you have to come to that next one?
No, I can't do anything for the month of June. Otherwise, I have to take a complete 30-day break. Otherwise, it affects my retirement. I'm glad I'm not receiving.
Wow.
We can't talk about anything until July. I'm just taking a whole week. Then she said, everybody's down.
Well, you know, that's just like when I retired. I had to go 2 months off.
Yeah, 90 days? Yeah, for me, it's 30 days.
I had to take 90 days off.
Billing in a time.
Not saying that I didn't go to the hall for anything, I was always been, did all the paperwork.
So the insurance lady says, so you can't talk anything, you can't do anything. After 30 days, we don't want to know about it. I just can't take any money. I think you're compensated.
We need to pay at the university for the clinic insurance, which they're state a lot of good medical.
So then you'll say, well, go on.
Same thing.
Get fever. It's ready. Add that to your thing. You gotta reconcile your statement.
That wasn't ready. I asked him that question. He says, any law enforcement examiner would kind of look the other way. But he says, legally, you're supposed to have it. He says, but, he says, in that situation, he said, if you're doing this, that, and the next thing, he said, we would kind of, he would kind of look, if he was taking this kind of, but he says, we were kind of looking the other way, but. So that business of putting this on your cell phone, taking a picture of putting your cell phone, was probably the key.
Well,
Even if it was a copay, it's still
Get your other.
They have the numbers and everything, they need to.
Yeah, well, I understand that. I mean, I got.
They'll have to look into it. One thing I've learned,
and then we
Because for us, now all the guys that have this type of cell phone, we and normally almost all we have. We don't have a fault point. You know that other day I called him, he had on the,
Well, I have more news for you, but I'll tell it to you.
right, it's not a jump here, you call, you know, on the raffle room. I was happy.
Even if there was.
And I turned around, it actually was telling me back down, and I was down the hill, coming back down in, and the building, I just followed the phone.
Because
I just followed them right on. We were out, no.
None of it came through. Because we but if this was here, it'd be done. It'd be done.
No,
Even if it was $30.
I
could not a couple weeks ago, laptop. Hey, talk about, we got this one, now we got this one, now we got this It says 365 It's exciting, the idea that we're just
coming down.
Right.
Dominoes.
It's kind of like well, they're the idea is the same.
Oh yeah.
Exactly what happened if I brought it up yet. This is funny.
Well, I heard that.
So we back up and then swap and then
Jennifer's
we
been
back
back
up
up
again.
again, they're gonna now market,
Now we back up.
They go up and get a run through, they're out there with another crypto
So,
on, and then now we're in
this
discussion. I went over to the box and donate community meals.
Wow.
They go around.
I just thought it said.
I took off, and I went out the one day after work and stopped and bought them to donate to community.
Go ahead and buy a gallon.
So it seemed like
One day.
Just to make sure.
Okay.
How's it going there? You're getting 20 minutes into it.
Yeah.
You're completely retired now, right? Or do you still go to work?
He works more now than ever.
Well, I mean, not like your wife telling you jobs that you have to do, but like you don't work at North Wash anymore, right?
No, don't work in North Wash. I work in the spring and in the fall for and then other little deals on the side.
Yeah.
And I've got a farm. I'm still living on the farm, so there's a lot of work.
Oh, I know. There's never not work for you
Yeah.
to do
I
that.
gave you
No,
that, I
no.
just had those
Been kind of nice with this last one. We had,
Good answer on that one.
I think 8 or 9 calls. That gets everybody's, what it does is gets everybody's blood pumping again. I mean, it just gets us going, you know, the guys just, yeah.
Nothing better than your blood pumping.
Not that we want calls.
Right.
So it's kind of nice.
I've always said that. I said, you know, when people ask you about that, I said, I don't want bad things to happen to people, but they're gonna happen. I want to be in the middle.
Yeah. You know, and it makes it like good or
So Chief Hollister, I heard you voted for something for your retirement soiree.
I voted for my own, giving away my own money for my own party.
Yeah, we had our admin meeting yesterday.
You gonna have a big bash?
I'm not. But apparently there's gonna be some kind of a bash, which I just donated money to.
You took in one of the pigs.
I won't have a pig, but whatever. I want a pig ready. You guys can all come out on Labor Day. Plenty on Labor Day. Always want to.
Out on pipeline?
Labor Day. Pig will be transported from the pipeline. Then you'll be in the sauna for about 18 hours.
We always have a big fish fry. My son's place on Labor Day. There's like usually about 50 people. And we do big beef fat. And we do homemade French fries. We do
What time and what day?
halibut cod.
And where?
And
Is it your place?
no, my son's place.
I'm available this year. I know I'm not on call.
And
I know for sure.
we have a good time.
I bet you did.
My son where he works, found this, they built years ago, built this big deal to do, to fry catfish.
Oh.
Deep fat fried.
Okay.
This thing will hold probably 40 gallons of oil. I mean, it's, by that, it's got 4 big burners on it. It sounds like a jet taking off. And we can cook until that going in, you know. And then once you get all done, you take the little burner, you got a little burner, and then they bring whatever you want to deep fat fry. We've tried everything. Deep fat fry. I mean, all the whole gauntlet of stuff, you know. And, yeah. Pickles, we tried everything, you know. I'll tell you what is really good is take fried potatoes, take ribeye steak, and put that in deep fat. Oh man, you know, and there's no cholesterol involved.
No, of course not.
All right, guys, let's keep going.
Leslie.
Not sure yet. I'm thinking probably 5. It may be more. It could be up to 700, but I think it works. Why not?
You're going to cover it?
Very cool.
I just made a note.
That's exciting.
Just don't tell her yet.
No.
I'm gonna probably call in a week. I just have to put information stuff in. I'll be able to call her tomorrow later. So we can talk to them.
Yeah. Secret.
Yeah. But
I'll tell Marcy, but we'll keep it secret just for that one, Tim.
I don't
So no bill text.
Who was that?
And you know,
This morning.
Gordon Knightley, right?
Yeah.
So his son also works in Canada. So yeah,
oh,
he's
that was
really, he's a star baseball player and a star football player.
Right.
And,
I don't know where it is.
so
Nelson's on a call.
he's
Not Nelson.
he really went to, so those are those two people that I have
That is Nelson.
current members.
He's on a call. He said Nielsen.
Nielsen's called us.
So I was excited about that because
So I'm right. He's right.
That's what it takes.
It was supposed to be Texas. That's what it takes.
That's what it takes.
Probably, it's nice to
It is nice.
finally like be able to like see
Nielsen is missing
people
also.
who work here, how their kids get
Nielsen's
things
not big
for all
around
the
there.
time and money that they put
Where's
into
one
someone
behind
here.
that?
Okay, oh, I don't know.
About that.
Okay, let's, Chief Hollander, you are on
Basically all nation.
the boat here.
Way to lead, good job. Track star.
Yeah, let me first say we're bringing back track.
Oh, God.
All right, Image Trend. We've been just over 2 months on Image Trend. I would say 15 out of the 16 shifts are doing great. And the 16th one is almost doing great. So it looks like the iPads are working.
Good thing today, we transferred information to WCFD.
You're getting ahead of my.
I just want to tell you, and it worked. And it worked perfectly.
Stole my thunder.
Oh.
I was doing a big build-up on that one.
Oh.
Very big build-up on that one.
Sorry, I apologize.
So having said that, now somebody ruined it for me. Just because of that, I'm never coming to one of these all-officer meetings again.
If I was the leader to that, I would take credit for it, but I know I'm not.
So I sent out the email yesterday, and I would like some feedback if we have any issues with it. But you can now go on your ALS calls, gather your data on your iPad, and when the medics arrive, you can upload it to the cloud, and then the medics can download it onto their iPad and transfer it. But remember, if it's an ALS call, you still have to do your BLS part of the report. So when you push your button, don't push upload and delete. Make sure you push upload and keep. And on the BLS, if you're transferring it interdepartment, there's only one report, so you can upload and delete at that point. So if 63 gets in a call, 61 is going to do the transport, you can just upload it to 61 and delete. So that's big news as of yesterday, and then Sean kind of ruined it. The second big change on Image Trend is you should all now have access to the locations, occupancies, and inspection module. There's a little bit of information in there. I've been putting some tier 2 information in there just to kind of build out the forms and the reports. Probably won't see much happening in that, and I'm too bad Mike's not here. Happening in there until the new fire marshal comes on board. But it looks like what we're going to do is, particularly in Blaine, is all of the inspections forward. We're going to put all new data in Image Trend. We're not going to transfer any of the firehouse data over. We're going to keep the firehouse data, but there's so many inaccuracies in that data, and it's so old and outdated that I think we should upload all the new inspections, new contact information, all the new building information. You can still go to Firehouse and get transfer if you want to know measurements and things. And then over the next year, we'll have all of our locations and occupants in there. The way Image Trend works is a location is a building, and an occupant resides within the location. A little bit different than Firehouse. So you can have a big building with multiple occupants, or typically you would have one location and one occupant. So that program will start being built out after May. And I'm assuming that the new fire marshal will be doing some training, some engine company inspection training, which we haven't had in years just because we haven't had time. But the new fire marshal, that's primarily going to be his only job, so he or she should really be focusing on engine company inspections and doing some training and working with you guys on data collection. And we will also then be doing district-wide pre-fire plans, which is really the same thing, except collecting some different information. And then that data can also all go into Image Trend. But for right now, I've just activated the module, given you all access. Feel free to look around. You can't really mess anything up. You look like you have a question.
Well,
is it going to screw up my next story? Because
I hope not. I don't know. It's kind of related to that. I don't know how, I haven't looked at it, so I'm asking kind of after, but you know how important it is to set up something right the first time when we started. And obviously that'll probably be a new fire marshal job, I would imagine, so we're not supposed to do anything until they get here. Is that correct as far as entering stuff? Here's the problem that we had before with Firehouse was it was, everybody assigned it got that unique ID number, if you recall?
There's no IDs.
Okay, so it's not, it's address based, there's not any special ID that is given?
Correct.
Okay.
I was I talked to Mike because he's in charge of the program currently.
Right.
And so any inspections that we're doing now, if we can collect that, for you guys, if we can collect that information, I can sit down with you and start showing you how to enter the basic data. So we can start the process, but the real program I would expect won't start until the new fire marshal comes on board.
I just didn't want to start a ball rolling that was going to have to be back rolling.
Yeah, if you have data on a location or not, you can't put an occupant in without having a location. So you have to have a location first. Then you can add occupants to it. If you have current data that you want to put in ImageTrend, let me know, and I'll sit down and we'll make sure you're getting it in right the first time. Because you can access ImageTrend through your MDCs. Everybody knows that, right? Yeah.
Question about the fire marshal stuff, Chief. I realize that the city of Blaine is what North Walk Fire Marshal does, and the rest of the district is the county. Do we ever see a time when our fire marshal might be doing some more stuff within our district boundaries?
Keep that thought for the next meeting. Ask that question at the next meeting.
The one that you won't be at?
Because let me just say that some concepts are out there right now, but I can't. I don't have any information. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that happen. And there is some preliminary communications happening because the county's also hiring a third fire marshal, but they're also probably going to be losing one of their fire marshals. And if you saw the second posting for that, they got no applicants, qualified applicants for their last program. So they've reposted it and made the requirements a little bit less. So things are changing at the county. Things are changing here. In 3 months, I'm sure the department will have a better answer for it.
Our goal is to enhance our prevention division overall, public education and ECIPs and inspections and the whole thing, pre-fire planning. In fact, last year, for the last several years, Chief Hollander's position has been funded out of facilities. It was under facilities, right?
Sounds right. Yeah.
So we've moved that actually now, that position is being funded out of prevention. So it's actually budgeted differently starting this year. So we really want to emphasize the fact that our prevention division is going to be enhanced here when we get a new fire marshal on board. So, yeah. And they're going to be out of the station, I think I told you guys that.
And I'll just dovetail onto that. The office has been emptied here. And so over the next 6 weeks, I'll be setting up all the things that are required to put that new office together. So there'll be a new computer in there and eventually be a new cell phone and all. So we'll be building that so when the new fire marshal is hired, he or she will have a home ready to go. That takes care of that one. Now, Dale, to answer your question, how many of you actually listen to a pulse point or have a pulse point on your phones?
On shift.
Yeah, well, so the county has just ordered, through FARS, has just ordered a new program, and you might want to write this one down. It's called I Am Responding. You can go online and look at that software program. It works very similar to Pulse Point. It comes out just as fast, it's supposed to come out just as fast as Pulse Point, but it'll have all of the dispatch data. So instead of it just saying, this is a structure fire at this address, it'll actually give you all the CAD information and what it's requesting. So if it's going to be requested,
how do you write that?
I with a line down and line on top and line on bottom. Yeah. AM responding.
Okay.
Is that an app?
It's an app.
Okay.
So it was the FARS just spent $10,000 to put the interface in, and we have ordered it. It's not in yet. It'll be coming in the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then you can log your phones into it, and this is something that I have to see how it pans out, but we may be able to get rid of your pagers if everybody has a smartphone. And one of the features it does, if you can actually send a message back just by hitting one button saying, I'm on my way. So the incident commander can actually see how many tender operators are on their way to the station before they even call on the radio. Okay. And it has some very, very exciting features on it. We had one demo, and it does have a website, so you can go to that website and look at all of the features. Okay. So this is It's gonna help a lot of districts, including our district, as chief officers. When Linden gets a call, I don't get any voice, and when the Linden chief is on call and Blaine gets dispatched, he doesn't get any voice. So now we can actually see it on the phone and see all the dispatch information to see if we're needed or not. So that's kind of up and coming from the dispatch center. So I'm hoping it's active in the next 6 weeks. So you'll hear more information as that comes live.
Thank you.
Yep. And it may do away with pagers altogether. I mean, it has that possibility, and especially like in Glacier and these outlying areas, they really struggle more than we do with getting pagers.
It's a minute before, at least a minute before we get.
It's enough time to walk to the bathroom and back. So about a minute.
Well, it comes in, you know, our calls go through Wacom first, and then if it's a fire call, then they go to Prospect, and Pulse Point gets hit before you guys get paged, so it is a little bit just right before the dispatchers are hitting the paging system, so it is a little bit early.
So that's kind of exciting. We're finally making a upgrade for the radio system.
Yeah.
Call the radio system. And what I've discovered is everybody carries a smartphone with them.
Because I know the other day on that call, I got the page on my pager, but until I got to, well, the thing went off again, but no voice. The first time there was no voice, and then I got down to about Old Pole Road, and then the thing went off again or beyond, and then I finally got a voice on the next page. But the first page I did.
I think you can set it to alert for specific apparatus, so you can set it for your tender, so your phone will actually go beep beep, and you'll look at it and say, hey, the tender group's being called.
Yeah.
And then you punch, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And then as commanders, we can see we've got 5 tender operators on their way in. So
Okay.
it has a lot of depth to it. And again, it's going to take a few months to build.
Well, as soon as it gets going, if you can come out and explain it to us, it's a meeting.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Will do.
Okay, thank you.
So that's pretty exciting. A little update on the excitement of the septic system at Station 69. It's in design, and that's been approved by, I think everybody knows that those funds were approved by the board this year as a capital project. And Burr, thank you for consulting with me on that one. And so that'll be installed second half of summer. So I haven't had any complaints. Have you heard any complaints? So we're getting through the wet part of the year and it's working. So that will continue on. It won't get installed while I'm still here, but we'll figure out who will finish that project. Just like the SCBA committee, we also had an ambulance committee put together last year. The district did award the contract to Tri-Van, and so that ambulance has been ordered. We've already had our pre-built meeting, and the anticipated delivery date on that ambulance is August. Where it goes and who gets it, we'll let you know. Having said that, we are also in the process of putting together a fire engine spec committee this year so that we can order a new fire truck this year, because that's also been approved. And who's going to be on that committee, I don't know yet. And who's going to be in charge of that committee, I don't know yet.
Well, we have a lead.
Is Ray the lead? So yeah. Ray will be the lead.
Operations and Captain Davidson are going to be working to step together.
So if you have anything that you'd like to see on this new fire truck that's not currently on our fire trucks, or have a recommendation or a suggestion or any input at all, contact Captain Davidson or Chief Penderman. With that, that's all I have. Unless you have a question. 2 questions. John.
The lieutenant permissions on image trend. Has there been a discussion of upgrading those? Like, it's hard for me to know exactly. I don't know how to say it. I mean, with my captain permissions, I don't actually know what the lieutenant permissions are. So things that I think they can see, they actually can't see. So I don't even know what those are.
Okay. You have on image trend. You have a different yes.
Yeah.
And remember, the permission settings are countywide.
Right.
So it becomes a bit challenging if we want our lieutenants to have different access than other lieutenants in other districts. Okay, so we just did build out a new permission, and I had to twist a lot of arms to get it, so that I could get locations, occupancy, and inspections, because the feedback I got from the guy that's in charge of it as well, the rest of the districts don't want it. They don't do inspections. And I said, but we do, right? So they wouldn't even turn it on for us. So we had to build a new permissions group, and then they get really upset when they have multiple permission groups. But if you have a concern, we can individually add modules to people.
Well,
So if the lieutenants need access to one thing that they currently don't have, we can do that on our individual basis.
and I don't know exactly how this worked or why he needed to get into it, but Lieutenant Zylstra had a problem where he needed to get into a report and change something. He didn't have access to it because he wasn't on a list of people that were on the call.
That we can't change. That's a privacy, patient confidentiality issue.
But I mean,
So he has to contact somebody that was on that. He has to contact somebody that was on that call.
You're a QC, or you have the QC quality, you have the control over it.
Right.
Unless it's been built out. If it's been built out, you don't have access.
well, that's my second related question, which we talked about a few times out about that. That it seems to be, and I think I mentioned it to you too, the auto billing is happening like instantly.
Yeah.
So if we have a mistake, it's already been built, and is that a problem if we change things after it's been built?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me put that on my list.
Mine's grayed out. Once it says it's built, I
Yeah,
can't touch it.
I don't know, I tried to, but
I don't know what you guys feel, but it seems like,
I don't know if it's an auto bill that's just happening, because this is happening before shift is even over. So there's no way to really change it.
It would be nice to.
I don't know. I don't know how systems, what the time setting is for systems design. So I've made a note to call them.
Okay.
Let me find that out, because if there's a variable in that, we should set it out at least a week or two. It may be automatic.
24 hours.
It may be automatic. They may have it set up to look at our computer every day and at a certain time.
Yeah, I had two this morning that I finished, ready for billing, and before I could get to the next one, it was already transferred.
And they may have it set up that every time a call gets ready for billing, good, export it to us, right? So maybe we can put a delay in that. I guess I would say don't click it ready for billing until it's done.
Well, no, it is done, but, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you think it's done and you QC it and have it all ready to go, and the guy comes in, calls you on the phone and says, hey, I forgot to add this to the call. And it might hurt, and if it's already transferred to billing, then you can't be.
I don't even know, can you change it to ready for billing, or do you not have access to that for lieutenants?
We can change that.
Yeah.
So what happens if somebody?
But we're not supposed to.
We just,
Right.
review.
What happens if that just
There's
gets
legit
changed?
work, right?
Then we terminate that employee and get a new one.
That seems reasonable.
It's a training issue.
I foresee problems, that's all.
Training issue. Yeah, make sure your folks are clear that the only people that should be transferring them to ready for billing are the captains. Because you're the final reviewer, and that's where nobody else looks at it anymore.
It all comes down.
It's all yours, all your fault. Trey, you got a question?
We start firing captains yet. This is going to CrewSense.
Okay.
You had said something this morning about, because like on the last fire, I put all the volunteers down under special assignments in CrewSense, and you said we don't pay them that way, or we don't have to do that, or?
No, you still have to track their hours that way, but they're not getting paid through auto payroll through bias. It's a different report that Benita is using to pay the volunteers.
But I still put them in CrewSense?
Yes.
Okay. Second thing I wanted to know, I got an email from one of the guys asking about, because their shift trade on CrewSense is not correct, you know, paid out or how many they owe and that kind of stuff on there.
The total numbers?
Correct.
On that auto.
Yeah.
On
the auto generator
program that keeps track of it.
We talked about it because it wasn't.
Right. Okay, but his question is, is there a way to fix that?
So there is.
Okay.
You just have to make a new entry to correct the hours. So a plus or minus the hours, and then make a note why you're changing it.
So we can do that?
Well, you need to talk to the operations guy. If you're gonna start changing hours on payroll, I think that needs to go through.
No, but I'm saying, but we can do that currently. He can do that.
He can do that currently.
Okay.
I would stay away from doing it at your level, though, without his permission, right? Because you don't want to start changing straight hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you
well,
said,
I just wanna know if there's a way to fix it, so that, whatever.
Yes.
So could you write that down?
So the fix
It's like
is.
this big, it's like a platter now.
So the fix is, you can't go back and change anything,
Right.
but you can figure out what the mistake is, make a correction entry.
Okay.
And then make an hour adjustment, it could be a negative number. So if for some reason he's got 24 too many, you go in there and give him a negative 24, and in the notes you put, I'm correcting this entry from this date because of this reason, and it was approved by.
How do you even read that?
Sorry, Kevin, you
Sean.
We need to also make
the
sure.
bubble burster.
We need to also make sure that we put the word out to everybody that we do not do three-way trades, period. Three-way trades are,
On cruise
sets, cannot be done.
Right.
They have to be, if I trade with Captain D and I can no longer take the trade with Captain D and I make arrangements with Aaron Holtz to take the trade, it's now between Captain Aaron Holtz and Captain Davidson. I am completely out of the picture because it screws up payroll big time in cruise sets.
Cruise
Cruise
sets
sets
can't
can't
handle
Do
it.
not know how to do a three-way trade, and I contacted the cruisets themselves, and their response back was, do not do three-way trades.
Three-way's not allowed.
So just remember that second person needs to go out of that loop completely.
So along the same lines of cruise sets, something came to mind here. We talked about this at the captain's meeting, but eventually, once Kelly gets done with all of the vacation sick leave rules and get all the numbers correct and all that kind of stuff, we are going to move all those banks over to cruise sets so that you guys have the ability to look at your mobile device and know exactly what you have for sick leave and vacation. That's the goal. Cruise sets does it. I put myself in there a month and a half or so ago just to kind of look at it and make sure I'm comfortable with the way it works. And it's pretty easy and it's accurate as long as you put the right data in there. And it's all based on your hire date. So you set that benchmark of your hire date, you set in there the parameters of your accrual steps, and then cruise sets automatically does that. So you guys will have the ability to just look at your phone and go, okay, yep, I've got this many sick leave hours, or I have this many vacation hours, or whatever. And when you get an increase based on your years of service, you set those parameters as well, and it automatically bumps you up. So it's kind of a cool feature. Once we get all those banks correct, then we'll make sure we get it.
Listen, I'm moving to that side. I'm going to be here next week. Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, I just wanted to mention what we kind of discussed before a couple days ago, just that image trend. You might see non-sequential calls in there, and that's typically on the dispatch end of the dispatch error issue, something.
What they used to call those calls from the old dispatch system, I don't know, but they answered the phone, they started the number, turned out not to be a call, so they.
Ghost calls.
What was it called?
These are called ghost calls.
Yeah, they had a different name for it. The old system.
So usually RFAs or PCCs in.
Yeah, PCCs is what they were called in the old system. So, yeah, John was trying to run a list of all the numbers and finding out why there were no calls for these missing numbers, and it just turns out that they're PCCs. They started a call, they took the phone, it turned out not to be a call, never was dispatched, but the number's already pulled, so the number's been used. And so it's the same thing as the old Northrop Grumman system used to have PCCs. I forgot that name. You remember that? You remember that? Yeah, so there might be a number that's missing in your list of numbers that there is no call for.
My second question, and interesting to talk about this new, this other I'm responding thing, but I'm curious to hear how the data plan for tablet, we're still not having issues with that.
Major issues.
Yeah, well, just, we talked about before purchasing data plans for the tablets. I just had this thing yesterday where I was running on 81202, which doesn't have where the server wasn't working, so I had no connectivity for my tablet to transfer anything to the medics. Now you're talking about another piece of information that could have, we could have access. I'm just wondering if we need to bring up the data plan question.
That happened also when we swapped from 61 to 6102 when the weather was at 2 feet of snow. That happened. We had to swap because of the 4-wheel drive. So then we yeah, the same thing happened.
That problem will resolve itself in spring.
Yeah. Didn't we talk about having the officer phone be a hotspot?
There's a cost to that, it's not budgeted, so that's that's the discussion.
Okay.
What about have the ability to put in the stand that you have in our standard aid cards into our backup aid cards? We just take the laptop over.
And we have that in engine 13, exactly like that, and we have it in engine 6302, or 6302. We have that whole system. It's the four-wheel drives that we have.
What about the 8? Yeah, I mean, it's
Well, there's a cost to that of about $4,500 per rig. We certainly could do it, but that's another discussion. We'd have to have it.
$4,500 for a bracket?
Well, you have to have the antenna, and you have to have the other computer. So there's two computers in your rig now. The tablet is just the one computer. Your antenna, which is really complex with your GPS and everything built in, has its own computer now, and that's why that whole system is costing us $6,500 per rig. The laptop tablet's only $1,800.
Gee, what happened with the Waka Medic One program paying for that type of stuff? I mean, wasn't that supposed to be part of that?
They're paying for the software, but they never said they were going to be paying for districts' computers and hardware. That's always been separate. Each district's responsible for their own hardware.
There were questions that arose around that, and the answer eventually came out that it's on the district. And the districts have the option of, help me with this one here, Andrew. I think that the districts also have the option of the GPS component of it. Some of the smaller districts around, you know, as far as ADL and closest unit type of a thing really doesn't really apply. But I think that was optional for those people who wanted to be part of that program. We were hopeful that the county was going to pay for a lot of this hardware and everything, but it came down to, all right, you guys are on your own.
Running on 1202 yesterday, it was bring the tablet, bring my phone, and that's where I got my information. I understand that the cost of a tab or a setup is great, but now unlock the data on my phone and I can use my tablet
So if we had
for $40 a month. How much does that time?
If you have a hotspot on your phone, would that solve that issue?
Yeah, that's what he's asking for.
Yeah.
What's the cost of that? Do you know?
Oh, I don't remember anymore on our plan. I thought it was around $25 a month per phone.
25? Let's just do that.
Is that for each phone now?
That's per phone.
Per so I think what it solved for all the stations where now you have an officer hotspot.
It causes another problem though too, because now you're switching between your phone and your rig. And so it makes it more challenging now. It doesn't auto log into your ambulance. Is it going to log in? Is it going to look for your phone first, or is it going to look for your ambulance first? And it can cause communication errors. We had the same problem when it was logging onto the station or the ambulance. Right. And so we had to turn everything off so it wasn't always searching, because if it's it comes with other issues besides just turning on the hotspot. But we can certainly experiment with it and try it, or turn on the hotspot, or only turn on the hotspot when you don't have wireless in your apparatus, like what's currently happening, but it takes some extra management by
It may be worth trying to maybe at 12 or something like that. Work out some of the bugs, and then if it's working.
But if you left the hotspots on all the time and you didn't turn them off on the iPads, then you run into this issue of which one should I be looking for?
DJ just brought up that we can turn the hotspots on the CAD computers.
Yeah, that's the ones we do have on tablets. That's what we use now.
But not the 1202.
But not for the back.
1202 doesn't have one of those new hotspot antennas. Those are the ones that are around $4,500. The whole
We'll get
system.
some information to bring to the captain's meeting next month.
So really what it boils down to is when you're moving out of an apparatus into an apparatus that doesn't have wireless is really the question. And versus, can I just turn all my, or can we just turn hotspots on all the phones? Because that becomes problematic. And I know there's,
quite simple, just turning on the phone, obviously.
well, because yeah, it comes with other connection issues.
I'll just bring it up.
And we have a fair amount of connection issues just working with the ones that have wireless connection. So if you add 4 more, it just
What is the cost of data on the tablets?
Can't.
That's
Can't.
included.
Can't. Yeah, the tablets.
Oh,
don't
on the
have
tablets?
Tablets. don't
That'd be
have that on
40.
Their Wi-Fi only.
That'd be 49, I think, per tablet.
But you'd have to buy new tablets for that.
And then we'd have to buy different tablets.
Yes, those tablets are tablet.
And once you upload a CAD, you don't need Wi-Fi once you upload a CAD.
The other side of it though is that 1202, the other four-wheel drive ambulances are basically first out rigs when we have bad weather and stuff, and we don't plan on getting rid of those. And they have low mileage on them. I mean, how come we just don't outfit them with the systems? I know it's expensive, but the fact is they're actually responding apparatus. And here we are.
Yeah, the question is how far do we put them and where do we stop? So I thought we were pretty good at putting them in all the first out apparatus.
I agree.
We are, it's just, yeah, we have to look at it.
So the question is,
I mean,
do we wanna build out
It's
two
just
four-wheel
like,
drives?
we move it to a backup rig.
Right.
I expect the backup rig to be like the first out rig. I get on a pediatric call, I have my pediatric stuff, but I have a finger, this is my pulse ox thing for a kid. Just the medics only want a pulse ox, that's all they want, they just want to set.
Just be patient, wait for the kid to grow up.
Called a big toe.
Yeah, those are all great concerns, right? They got, yeah, we can address them. Sometimes it's not always as simple as just turning on hotspots.
We'll get some
John,
information
no,
when we get next.
just wait till May.
Wait until May.
June 1st, all these problems will be not mine.
Something came to mind here real quick. So, Firehouse used to be our employee database when it comes to the people's address, phone number, emergency contact, all that kind of stuff. It's now ImageTrim. That's where all that information is stored. And if you guys have a change in status, marital status, emergency contact, address change, anything like that, email it into Kelly. She will input it into ImageTrim for you, and then she will disperse that information to the rest of the administrative group for insurances or whatever needs to be taken care of. So if you have changes in status of some sort, email it to Kelly. Okay, you don't need to fill out a status change form or anything like that. Just send the information to Kelly, and she'll get it put into ImageTrim for you. You did a great job. Henry did a great job getting all that data moved over into ImageTrim from Firehouse. A lot of little pieces of information. It's pretty solid now, so if you go to that and look at it, it should be correct. But any changes, please just email them to Kelly and we got to change for it.
So that brought up one more thing about a meeting I had yesterday. This is great how we bring up ideas for each other. On your hire back callback from CAD, it's also important that you keep that data current if you change carriers, change cell phone, change home phone. And we've seen some discrepancies in the hire back system, and it's not at Prospect's end. But what I did discover from Prospect yesterday at a meeting I went to was that AlertSense can send you a quarterly email and say, this is the information we have on record, this is your phone number, this is your carrier, this is how you want to be contacted, do you want to make any changes in that? And then you can actually hit yes and make changes automatically without having to go through somebody in admin if you forget to make those changes. So Ken Cunningham, as your president, told me, yes, let's make that go live. So unless I get a bunch of screaming negatives here, you'll get an email once a quarter from AlertSense, which is the program. We've got dozens of programs now. That's the program that actually dials you up for hire back. If I don't, everybody just delete the email or when you get it, but check it every quarter and make sure this is the right phone number and this is the carrier is real important in this one because it only sends it out on that carrier band. So if you're on AT&T and it's programmed to send it out on Verizon, you might be missing a hire back notification. So.
And be careful on the callbacks or carriers too, because Comcast uses Verizon, and I think the Geritol plan that you're on now uses
T-Mobile.
You don't have the Geritol.
No, not yet.
Yeah, you've got the Geritol plan.
Yeah, I got the Geritol.
So I'll be inactivating that. I'll be activating those next week.
Be aware of that too, because they don't know what the Xfinity or Comcast is.
If you have any questions, just call me.
Okay.
So that's the last thing I can remember right now.
Okay. Training, you're up.
We've got a lot of these checked off. I like it. going back to the BFD thing, please let me know if I can do anything to help, especially when it comes to any coordination. I meet with BFD's training division on a regular basis. Chief Provencher has assured me he has put that out to his captains and his personnel. So I will be happy to remind them and see what else we can do on that part. I'm trying to get snippets and everything of some of their policy procedures when it comes to response. The last email I believe I put out, I attached some stuff to it. I know it's not much, but it's something. They go on a lot of pre-assigned basically duties. And so make sure you read that with your crews, and hopefully that kind of lines up. You know, first dude does this, second dude does that. And that might kind of help with some of that. It's on paper anyway, and hopefully they actually do what they say they do. So I'll try to get more of that for you, and as soon as I receive that stuff, I'll get it out to you. So just let me know what I can do on that stuff. Kind of moving ahead, we just got done with our first round of the lieutenant testing process. We have 5 people that are moving ahead towards the assessment center. So assessment center is going to be on March 25th. So that process has already begun. Hopefully in the next week-ish, you should see an announcement go out for our lateral hiring process. I'm also going to be reaching out to a lot of people, and I'll put this out in the next hopefully week or so, asking for assistance. We are going to be obviously going through a process for laterals coming in. That posting will be put out, but what I'm going to need help with is we're going to be having an assessment day for our laterals. And a lot of people have approached me saying, hey, I want to help, so I will need that help for that entire process. So any questions I can answer on that?
And that's not March 25th.
No, I don't remember the date on our assessment day, but that's going to be April something, yeah.
So the sooner you give us that date,
correct,
then we can check it ahead.
Yeah, so I will need help on those days, and I would like to see involvement. These are people that we're all going to be working with, so you know, I want everyone to kind of put in their 2 cents with some of that stuff. So more to come on that. Other than that, we have 2 volunteers still. They're going to be coming on shift hopefully very soon. I'll be working with Dean and trying to get their assignments accomplished. We have 2 volunteers that are in EMT class. They should be getting out of EMT class in the next few months. They'll do that, and they'll be also going on shift. There's been a lot of questions actually lately. I've been surprised about some of the medics that are now carrying new equipment. Some medics that are carrying different kinds of equipment, experimental equipment for BVMs, for example, nitrous, stuff like that. Just realize that the BVMs, for example, has been in the works for the past probably 1.5 years with the county. Just like the image trend program, every agency has to decide on one piece of tool and equipment if we're going to do the exchange program with BVMs, for example. So you might be approached by some of the medics saying, why aren't you guys carrying this? Okay. Currently, there's some departments that have taken the initiative and purchased equipment, and now they're going to be backtracking in the future because other things have been decided for those pieces of equipment. So don't be surprised if they approach you and ask you. It is in the works, and hopefully it'll be solved in the next month or 2 is our goal. We haven't taken the initiative yet to really pursue that yet, and the reason being is Bellingham medics completely work and operate differently sometimes than the District 7 medics. Okay, so there's no consistency there, but there will be in the future. So, yes, sir.
Back to the laterals real quick. DJ had a question. Do we have an academy plan for the new hires?
We are working on a 2 to possibly 3 week lateral academy. So again, I'll be reaching out to people and asking for involvement with that. We're still in the beginning stages of basically putting that schedule and what we want to see out of that academy. So if people have any suggestions, please shoot me an email. And I definitely would like to incorporate that into the academy, and you know, we want to do it right. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. All right, other than that, nitrous, for example, I'll be getting some more BLS type protocol stuff out there to everybody. I know we don't carry nitrous, but you're gonna be assisting with that with a lot of agencies that are gonna be carrying it in Whatcom County. So knowing how to properly use that and everything is something that you may be assisting with currently. So I'll be getting that out in the near future. So trying to control the rumor mill a little bit. A lot of people have been asking.
So that's a BLS protocol.
BLS protocol, yes.
So
yes.
So we're not carrying it, or we are carrying it?
We do not carry it.
We do not carry it right now, and I can tell you why. It's $3,200 per unit to put together, just one nitrous setup. So Chief Newchester and I talked about it last year, and before we step into the realm of doing that, we're going to make sure that all the players are in place and procedures are in place, training's done, deciding on what we're going to carry, where we're going to carry them before we put them in place.
So give you a little history on it. There's about 5 agencies that are going to be carrying that within Whatcom County. It's probably going to grow to about 7, to be honest with you. It's hard to say this, but it hasn't been approved with the state yet. It's in the works. Just like iGel, for example, or other things haven't really been approved, or they just got approved. But Dr. Wayne has put his signature on that to have it approved for Whatcom County under basically an experimental stage. So once it gets fully blessed by the state, I think you're going to see a lot more agencies move in that direction. So along with that comes a lot of training to everything else, because you're dealing with basically pain management type product. So
it's one of those drugs that may make sure it works for you guys up north here, because the longer transport times, it may not make sense for 12. I don't know. So as we move further in, we should get there.
So we'll be working together and trying to figure out some things that come along with that. But again, I encourage you, if you have questions, please just I encourage the questions, and that way it controls the rumor bill and either answer it or not answer it for you. So any other questions on that so far? I guess the other things that I just want to bring up, we have a teen screen coming up on March 21st. So I'm going to be working with Dean to basically try to get a lot more help with that. I can't remember who's on shift that day, but that's a pretty involved event. Blaine High School, I don't believe, has ever had a teen screen. And you guys know what teen screen is?
Cardiac.
Yep. They basically test high school students for basically cardiac issues. And there's a lot of unknown issues that basically get brought up as they go through the teen screen. So it's a great program. They've had one, what was the last one? In Ferndale, where they had one and they caught about 7 kids that had actually a true cardiac problem. And basically put them in for further testing and everything like that. And it's a great program. So I'll be working with Dean and trying to get more help for that, because it's a pretty involved day. It really is. So if you have questions about that, I'll also probably need a little bit of help on the 20th, the night before, just for basically setup.
What was the date again? March
21st. So that's going to be right up here at Blaine High School. So, and along with that, we're still trying to get a lot of people have been asking about some kind of DUI drill or distracted driver type drill up in Blaine High School, and we're still working on that. So, Lieutenant Smith, I'd actually, if you have a minute after this, I'd like to talk to you about that. So, any questions I can answer? Or?
And you're out of the office next week.
Yeah.
Still available via email and whatnot. There'll be back keys for the week.
So yeah, if you need to contact me, just shoot me an email. I will be replying back to emails. Emails will be a lot probably easier versus a phone call. So I want to say email or text, and I'll be happy to get back to you. No other questions? Perfect.
No other questions.
Yes, sir.
I know you have this set up, but have you noticed that your phone just rings and rings and rings without voicemail?
Believe it or not, I'm trying to get out of the office. That's probably why.
He's hiding it.
Oh, with no voice.
Would you rather us leave a message on your cell phone, or? I mean, when we're not for next week. I'm talking about just in general.
Cell phone is probably easier, but I don't know why.
I don't know why it doesn't do it. It doesn't go to voicemail.
Probably why I have no messages.
I looked at him. How do you turn that off? I looked at him.
No.
How do you turn that voicemail off? Because I would turn mine off.
I know I set up my voicemail, but I don't know. I'll have to find out.
And I think yours is, is it 12, does it just go straight to the bar? Just goes straight to, you know, it doesn't call, it just goes
You know,
straight
it's
to
caller
intercom.
ID, right? It does go straight to intercom.
Yeah. It's weird too.
That's why you hear me pick up the phone and talk into the phone before I actually talk to you, because I don't know how to work the phone.
Hang on.
There's a lot of buttons on our phones. I don't even know what they all do.
It was interesting working at 12 yesterday. All these problems.
Training, you done?
I think I'm done. Any other questions? They did just call me on my phone and I'll leave a message if you could.
So A shift, you're up.
I asked everything I could ask, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Support paperwork, is that going to you, those, you get those? Yes. Go ahead.
Is it to be now?
How are things going on A shift in general?
Well, we have 2 probationary firefighters, so we're doing lots of training. That whole fire brought up, another issue with, having a probationary firefighter who's been there for 3 days at Station 63, never been up on a ladder. So we have now a pump operator and you know, I'm not that great with the ladder myself, and here we are in a big fire. Doing all the things, and he's kind of ghosted on the bumper because we can't do anything right now. And I'm the pump operator and Damon's running the table and nobody's up on the stick, so obviously we got questions from Bellingham, like why you have everybody up there? Because I don't have anybody up there, so that those kind of things are frustrating when you're doing emergency stuff, like how do we have probation people at 63 is the question that brought up. Does there need to be more of a, you know, in the 2 weeks that we have them, does that need to be incorporated in, does the ladder need to be incorporated in their training? Because those guys haven't been up there doing anything, so just in the back of your mind for, especially for lateral, for sure, for lateral academy and future hires. It's something to think about. I don't know. I haven't talked to the other captains about how they feel about it either. It's a unique. It's obviously a unique station when you're being called for a resource like that going into Bellingham. So.
What you're gonna falls back into the same exact criteria. Like we didn't take the tender the other night for the grass fire because I had a probationary firefighter that can't even drive. Still cruise, and it was close, but still does create some questions.
And I had that problem too, where I drove the tender, and so it's like
split the crew.
Now I've got my probationary firefighter riding the officer's seat.
Which is tough to be a company officer driving a tender, you know, to give size ups and do all that kind of stuff or whatever. You're trying to park the damn thing. So, something to think about.
Let's go down the list, brush rig as well. It's a special piece of equipment. It's easy to drive, but it does require a little knowledge of how to drive forward driving, where to drive the field.
And I know the other stations have that same, I mean, that was our discussion on not having them at 69. That was part of the discussion, so I don't know what the answer is to that. But,
Not having probation programs at 69? It happened.
Yeah. No, yeah, and we've had them, but we've brought what he's getting at is every station has its unique issues when you have someone brand new and green that, okay, we have this kind of call now, fill in the blank, whatever. And it's like, shit. and you did, I mean, it sucks, but you roll with it and you go. But every station has its unique situations for someone brand new that it's a hazard.
and I guess that, I'm sure this will come up the next time, but I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there now, is that's why in particular, I'm in favor of having those guys training right at the beginning in all of our apparatus, all of our equipment. They at least have some baseline familiarization with everything. Yes, that probably costs more money and involves more time at the beginning of their, but the dividends that pays off when they get on a shift. You have one chance to do it right with all of them at one time, and there's only one time to do that.
There's more value.
Yeah, and with consistency.
And with consistency.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just something we should think about in the future.
Because I ran into the same problem with Hofstad. Delaney and I were working at 12, and he had to take the brush truck to that fire. And so he ended up driving the brush truck to the fire. Delaney and I ended up going on an aid call because there was concurrent calls. So he took the brush truck one direction, we went on an aid call the other direction because it's the same thing with the driving pumping. Just how you have to do it.
That's all.
And on that line, I've had a couple now, brand new guys, right out the gate at 69. And it's a lot of work, but I would encourage you guys, when you get probationary firefighters that are new to you, maybe it might be their second module, third module, but roll up your sleeves and do a lot of training, because the sooner you can get them familiar with the stuff and trained up on it, the better every call goes. And so, I mean, we hit the ground and we train a lot of hours over and over again, and that's what they need. And it is a lot of work, and obviously our call volume's way up, and that gets in the way of training, but it is what it is.
Constant MCOs are really important, and even between this station and 63, constant training together with the crews is vital. It really is, because there's a lot of folks that don't touch ladder 63 for months, for whatever reason. And if we're training more often together, then we'll get a chance to get on it.
So one thing to kind of answer that too is I'm all about trying new things as well. And as we, I guess, look into the future and hire more people, even brand new people, this last round of kind of rotating the brand new probationary firefighters, that's where I really appreciate your guys' input, because we want to know what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, let's try something different. Let's keep trying to improve this, and that's all we're trying to do too. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
One of the last rounds, we didn't disperse in the way we did this time. Now we're moving around every 3 months, so that's new for us too. And we'll just keep modifying it as time goes on and get better each time. So it's good input, it really is. Hey, shit, you done?
I'm done.
Be shit.
So we just have a couple of things maybe operationally to talk about. The plow at 63, this last snowstorm or whatever, there's been a request by some of the guys to be able to get trained in doing the plow. Partly was that when Elliot called at 11 o'clock at night and asked if the stations needed to be plowed, or whatever, and then he can't, if he had to come in or whatever, then he's exhausted the next day because he's been plowing all night long. We have people that can do it on a callback or whatever. They didn't know if that was something to talk about. And then the second thing was that, and I didn't create this, but I thought it was a pretty good idea, that we have that 4x4 truck, and when we think about bad weather, to hire back 2 EMTs and staff that pickup and put sand and all that kind of stuff and shovels or whatever in there, because there's some pretty bad driveways and stuff that we have to get into that make them kind of a roving deal. So if one of the ambulances gets stuck or whatever else, that we have sand in the back of the truck and shovels and chains and all that kind of junk to help get an ambulance unstuck, and then have 2 other people. We ended up having to roll a gurney about 600 feet through the snow because we couldn't get close enough to the house. And so it took 4 of us, including the medics and the EMS 1, to try and lift the gurney up and get this person out of the house. I think if we had something like that, and then you think, well, what's the criteria? And I was thinking about that. If if we had 4 inches of snow or more, we would call for an emergency callback or something to staff that pickup, to have it out there and be able to roll around.
Would it pay to have that pickup, say, put it in our hall, so you'd be central, that pickup could run any place it has to go?
What, you mean as far as where it's located?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that'd be operationally how they figure out if they want to do it, but that makes, yeah, kind of makes sense. I mean, if you think about like 12's area, going up that hill and Toad Lake and all that kind of stuff, but having that four-wheel drive outfit, it was studs. And, you know, and I thought about those plastic totes, those big blue ones, just filled with sand, have it at one of the stations, slide it in the back of the pickup, and you got lots of weight, and you got sand right there to help, because we had the sand truck help us at 12 the other day. They dumped a load of sand for us to get the ambulance unstuck. And some of the four-wheel drives have a little bit of trouble, just because of the weight that's inside there, being able to move a patient a different way to Stokes in the back of that pickup, to get them out of the area to an ambulance. You know, something to think about.
We have a Stokes on 12. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that there now?
Yeah.
There's some good ideas.
Just one kind of oddball one. I saw Elliot drive off in our ambulance the other day, and as he was going down the road, he's in one of our ambulances, and he was a mechanic. And I think about 5 years ago, we had talked about putting out of service tags on the side of those ambulances that are magnetic or something, that they're, you know, out of service, put it across the north walking door or whatever, and on the back of the ambulance, so that way if he drives by an accident or whatever, I just don't, there's a mechanic in there, or on the engines when it's going down the freeway, there's a vehicle fire and it keeps driving by, and they're like, well, where's that fire truck going? And we put something that's a magnetic thing on the door.
That exact same thing happened. There was an accident in the gully beside my house. They called for 911 because the car was 25 feet down and someone was minor injuries. John's driving the fire engine by. He thought it was responding and it drives right on by.
Right.
And they're like, this should be about the time that somebody's coming, because I called like 5 minutes ago, and then there goes the fire engine by, and the engine didn't show up.
The only reason I noticed is I know that Seattle Fire, I guess their auto shop, their mechanics or whatever, that's what Seattle Fire does. I was downtown when they had a rig out there and had a big black banner across the front or whatever, it says out of service apparatus or something, that just sticks on the front of their truck. So they can take it, and, you know, but anyway, just a thought.
Yes, thanks. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You guys watching in there remotely, please jump in here with a text or something if you have something to add.
Unless something else has got something.
You good? Okay. C-shift, Captain Schmidt's not here, but any C-shifters?
No, I talked to Captain Schmidt yesterday, and he said he didn't have anything to report.
Debbie? You good?
We need to get A-shift tested.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Just come out and do it. Get out.
That's out. That's good. Thank you for all your work you did on the SCBA stuff. Great job. We're excited to get that moving forward, and I know Dean and I have been talking a lot about that, and we've been talking to the board about the necessity of that. We're fully aware of it. So once we get that approved through the board, we'll get into the work process and get some new packs. Good job on that. Yeah, And all the D4 stuff, just as echo here, is going to be coming out of service in June. So the cylinders are going to be gone, some of the whole firebox will be gone. So, something to think about. How about what we're going to do about spare bottles? We need to be thinking about the surplus side of it also. So we'll get with Chief Hollander start June.
Yeah, in June.
We still have you till the 31st.
Oh,
of May.
I thought he said he was doing it after.
He's not concerned about it. So we need to work on the surplus side of this. Any other sea shifters?
If I could just really quickly dovetail what Matthew Myron was saying, talking about. He's trying to do flow testing as well, so he may, if you get some oddball requests to go look for a pack, and then figure out a way to meet up with him, please oblige.
Yeah, we're not as free as we used to be.
So it's
gallivanting around the countryside with a minimum staffing of 3 to 12 now. And you can't just send somebody to go get stuff. So, would appreciate some assistance when
and when it comes down to the end of it, it's that hunting game. So please be patient with please go to 65 and look for a single pack kind of thing. So
it's always the way it works.
Yep.
All right, the shift.
I've just got a couple things. The ticks are floating around. We've got the Bullard and the Scott demo right now. They're headed to 12. So they will be there to take a look at and to have your crews take a look at. There's evaluation forms as well as spec sheets and how to operate, et cetera, sheets on and some of the features that they have. And then I'll go to 69 and 61. We looked at this one. This was the first one that we had, and it's kind of cool, but nobody really liked it because it's kind of like a big brick, and I agreed. But we'll look at the other ones, and then at which point I've got the RFP already all drafted. I've just got to get it to you so that we can make sure that it's got all the legalese and everything else, but I think it is.
I'm an attorney now.
Well, but I'm just kidding.
The job.
Add that to your satellite.
I stole his stamp, so whatever you guys want.
So anyway, it's all drafted up. It's all done. It's ready to go. Just a matter of looking at them and kind of coming up with a plan as to which one we like. And then go from there.
It was a capital request item from last year that Sean put together, so it's a budget item for this year. So as soon as you guys decide on which one you got certain funds, you can just call it.
Jimmy, one more thing. The moving of equipment back and forth, especially at 63 when we take 61 or 63 goes to become 61 and I've got a set of elevator keys ordered for ladder 63, and I hope to order a manifold for ladder 63 as well as one for the Delta gang, so that we don't have to be moving those around, less equipment to move off of rigs, less chance of getting to bringing it back or et cetera when we do swap things. So that's.
Do the old kicks have value? Are they surplusable?
Yeah, we could probably surplus them. Somebody probably buy them for a little while. They've got a couple more years of life in them, that's about all. And then they're real tough.
Or do you see that to have some as backup?
I might throw them in the command rigs. As far as that goes, once we put the new ones in, I think they're back. At least until they start dying again, and then once they die, we just make it disappear.
I won't take really much use of that command rig
Yeah.
to do right now.
I thought of something, the little LED.
Still working on it.
Lights.
Seems like every time we try to do a night ops thing with it, we get busy and just didn't get a chance to do it. Or it snows.
Still it works.
It still works.
Okay. What else for D-Shed? Okay. Thank you, D-Shed. Anybody else from D-Shed do anything? You're D-Shed, correct?
I just have one quick thing. DJ wanted me to bring this up. The other day they had an AFA and in the city, and the city does something a little different, which I thought was a good idea. And then Lieutenant Nelson ended up having an AFA the same exact thing 3 times in a row. We went to the same place. And that was, VFD has a policy that they have a tag that goes with engine companies that peel the tape off when they've had an AFA they can't get in, and they put it on the door or whatever for the business, the proprietor to know. Then that card is sent to the fire marshal, and I was telling you that obviously when we have the fire marshal, that would seem like that would be an appropriate thing to do. But the proprietor knows then the next day that there was a call there, but the fire department couldn't get in there. So there's a follow-up, the call down, because we ended up going to 3 calls or whatever for the same address, and dispatch didn't have any call-out information. So Lieutenant Nelson drove over, met with the people and said, hey, here's what's been going on. But I just thought it was a good idea to maybe think about that for businesses that we go to, or concurrent alarms in some places says, hey, we've been to your business over the weekend 4 times, there's something going on with your system, please contact our fire marshal to get this thing fixed. But it sticks on the front door of the business where the Knox key is or something.
Good idea.
I thought it was a good idea.
What's funny is the owner of the building is a local guy we all know. And he called that guy up in Canada or whomever runs it for him.
It was from Canada.
Chewed him out on Saturday or Sunday night about that alarm not being turned off or whatever it was. And the whole while, he's right here in town.
Right.
And he had the key for the building and the whole bit. But we've fixed all that, or in the mix of fixing it.
So, pretty good idea, actually.
All right. go to the order.
I got a text from Jeff, who's looking at the I am responding, and it's asking for an agency name and a password. And just, Jeff, so you know, it's not installed yet. It's not live, but I went online and it does give a description of what it's capable of doing. So all you can do now is look at it online and look at its features, but you can't log in yet, Jeff, sorry, because we haven't. We're in the middle of purchasing it. So just some clarification on that I am responding. So don't call me for your login and passwords yet.
Let's just go around the room, give some good of the order, and then we'll break up here a little bit early today. John?
You can't be done.
Gotta be one more.
Gotta be one more.
You good?
This is John's
Kenny?
meeting.
No,
Nothing good?
no, nothing.
Leslie?
Chief, if you're talking to anyone from the city, can you tell them thank you? They sent, last night at that call, they sent a sander from Blaine.
City of Blaine or City of Blaine?
City of Blaine.
Sure.
Sent a sander.
I'll see you Monday.
He was someone who was coming through, turned around in his private vehicle, said, do you need a sander? We said, well, we've called one from the county an hour and a half ago or whatever. They're not here yet. He went back into Blaine, got the sanding truck, and came back and sanded the hill.
That's just beyond the city limits, right?
It's, 3700 block.
Yeah, so it's, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just outside, yeah.
So, so he came back with the sander and sanded the
And that
whole
was
hill.
a City of Blaine employee?
Yeah.
So I'll make a note of that at the city council meeting.
Yeah, please
They like
do.
to hear those kinds of.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it was very, it was awesome.
Thanks for
because
sharing that.
That was
That's good information.
super important.
Thank you.
Bert?
Good.
You good? Adam?
Yeah.
Good. Dale?
I'd like to see, I'm sure everybody else the same deal, the graveyard out there at the shop. I think as a district, I think we should start looking at some of these trucks that are sitting out there rusting away, going into the dirt, about getting rid of some of this stuff. And maybe take the money from it and do something different. But I mean, that's not my deal, but it's just, it seems kind of strange if you get all this machinery, pretty soon it's more and more and more and more sitting there that is out of service because of this way or that way, and they can't afford to fix it or they don't want to fix it, that we should move that stuff.
Well, parts are just plain not available.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the thing is that antique that you can't fix it, take the money from it and get on with it. But I think Jason is going to look into that. I'm almost sure he is, and I'm looking forward to working with him. And yeah, that's it.
There's a lot to consider before we sell an apparatus. We have to look at things like our surveying rating, because all of those things are on a list of things that we have as resources. But I'm so on your side, Dale, that we have a lot of old stuff, and we don't use it, or whatever we need to. I'm with you.
I mean, I don't mean the stuff that is running. I don't mean the stuff that can go up and down the road and can go on calls. I mean the stuff that is broke down and too costly to fix it is the big thing.
We're getting rid of this one.
Too old.
He's partially the Fred County can't fix it.
You know,
the parts no longer available.
You know them imports are.
Yeah, those imports. European, no parts available.
Chris, what do you got?
Got nothing.
Happy to be here.
Looking good.
Feeling great.
How many days?
God dang, you
That sounds like the last email I sent you. House and back, right?
Don't I have that on my auto reply now? As of today, 83 days, 20 hours.
The auto reply should just have it.
Yeah.
I should just attach the counter to my auto reply.
Thanks for the hard work and keep up the good work. Thanks for making us look good.
Yeah. Same here. Keep it up. You guys are doing great. Really appreciate everything you guys do. So, have a wonderful afternoon. It looks like the sun's coming out. See you again soon.
No one.
All of our snow problems.
Well, let me work with you. Happy to.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we actually get out that.